I'm Sophia Luvarà. I'm the director of The Chinese Closet, which is a documentary about the gay life in China.
好，15号，请问你为什么要行婚？
主要是父母的原因啦，因为我跟我父亲是坦白了这个事情，然后就是他们就进柜子了，所以他们会有比较大的压力，所以我也蛮担心他们，也怕他们走不出来，所以我是希望可以通过这个事情，就是行婚这个事情，能帮他们解决这些压力。
就是说，请问一下，你对行婚对象的一些要求是什么？
我觉得，就是其实主要是两个人有相近的价值观，可以说得来吧。就是有些问题有共同的看法，然后互相有一些眼缘，这样就 OK 了。
好，闺蜜，
对，有闺蜜的这种基础就很好，非常好。
好，行。
I would like to start with your relationship to China and how did it develop and how did you sort of like become familiar with this country and then the special community you were observing in a way.
Yep. Well, I was there just traveling for myself, no particular reason. And then I started hanging out with some gay friends that I met, and I realized the gay community was so much fun, much more fun than the rest. And so after a while that we met each other, we knew each other, people started asking me to take pictures with me, so to pretend that I was the girlfriend. They could show the picture at home to their parents.
Like gay men? Or
yeah,
like,
gay men. Okay. And I was, well, sure, why not? And after a few pictures, I realized, well, I'm the girlfriend of a lot of people in China. Maybe this is not. But then I thought that the story was just great and it needed to be done. It was just, was funny, but at the same time, it was really obviously tragic and sad. So it was both things, and that's how it started.
So you met these people in sort of like party life, or what? Where did you sort of like first get in contact with the gay community?
First time, yeah. So the first time was gay clubs and bars, and especially in advertising. There are lots of people working in advertising. But then when I actually started the film, then I started to go through the NGO. To meet people and to go to the fake marriage market, obviously. That's where I met most of my characters and most of the people that I filmed.
Yeah, and I feel like when I was sort of like a couple minutes into the film and you first get introduced to this market and everything, I was like, did you ever ask yourself if it's also a moral question to do these things? Like if it's morally okay to live, these like two lives and like on a professional level try to find partners and like fake straight relationships, and then, or is it just a cultural difference? I was like, can I judge these people really for that, or is it just a cultural thing where do you know what I mean? Like, is it or like did you ever judge them for the behavior? Or?
More than judge, I was trying to. Well, at first my first reaction was I should tell these people they have to be free. They have to just,
but that's where, They
have to just break free. You have to just do like we do in Europe. You tell your parents to fuck off. I was my first reaction obviously was that, and then I started to understand because also I met some parents.
Okay.
So there's this parents support group, or parents of it's called PFLAG, parents of gay and lesbians, but they accepted their children and they help each other and other parents to accept their children. It's a support group. And so then they explained to me what went through their mind when they first realized their child was gay, and I suddenly kind of understood. So I stopped saying no, you have to be free. I really do understand why they do it.
What did they tell you? Like, what were the stories that made you understand them in a way that it's like culturally different maybe, or what did the parents tell you?
For instance, what they say sometimes is they blame themselves. This lady thought, maybe my son is gay because when he was little I always dressed him with pink clothes, or I gave him too much candies, and so she was blaming herself, and she went through this really the depression, really bad time. She didn't want to talk to her friends. She shut herself in the house. Then eventually she moved to another city. So I really got they are suffering for it. For this, it's just because of ignorance.
I feel like you sort of like get the impression on the surface that these more like, yeah, these young people are fine with living these lives and like going to this market and having these like very sort of like compartmentalized lives in a way. But do you think beneath it there is just a lot of pain too, or like, and why don't they discuss it that openly? Like,
I think there is. Yeah, it's definitely dramatic for them. It's, you know, lying to your parents, creating a whole life with somebody, like fake life. It is dramatic, but I think it's a cultural thing. So the Chinese, I find, they don't express like we would. So even in the film, you see there are some moments of tensions when you understand they are suffering, but they don't show it the way we would expect them to show it. And so I think that's why even I sometimes thought, oh, this is such a cold way, clinical way to analyze and rationalize and deal with emotions. But I think it's a cultural misunderstanding. We can't read them.
Did you then at some point as a director and just, I don't know, human being, stop saying, oh, I have to like convert them or tell them, you know, to become more themselves? And did you just choose at some point to just depict their reality and get not so involved in it?
Yeah, I tried not to get too involved. Even though with Andy, this one of the main characters, I did because we were so close, very friends, and he always asked me, what do you think I should do? And I was in a position of, I shouldn't tell you, I really don't know what you should do for your life. Then, of course, I'm the director of the film, so I was thinking maybe I should tell him what to do, so my film would be great, but that would be completely immoral, so I never pushed him to do what I thought was the right thing, because he knows better than I do what is good for his family himself.
And did you, when you chose to make a film, did you already know what you want to show and how you want to structure it, or what was your take on the story? When
we started research, no, I went there blank, meeting people and looking for stories. Then after the research, I actually sat down and work out my message and the structure and the story in my mind before I start the shooting.
What audience do you have like in mind for this film, and like, or do you think about the audience when you when you make a film, like specifically with this film? Who do you address?
My ideal world, I'm addressing everyone, because the universal message is, relationship between children and parents. So that's something that anybody can relate to, no matter if you're English, if you're gay, or doesn't matter. But now I also realized, after making the film, I realized that is really important for the gay community, for the LGBT community, because I get people coming and asking me questions after the film, and I realize this is, obviously it's only a film, but it does help some people watching it. So I really want to push it through the LGBT festivals around the world, because I think it can make a little difference.
How did the people react here? Like the Q&As and the questions they had, or comments?
Here in the premiere?
Yes.
Yeah, that was great. I was amazed. Very interesting questions, and lots of questions also.
Like, what did they want to know, or like what were their like opinions about it?
But most of them, they want to know more about China, so about being gay in China. So they ask more about it, and actually they also want to know about the character's life. So they ask me what happened to them after the film. Or they ask me, about their parents. So they get, I guess, they really get into the story. They get attached to the people in the film.
Have they watched it already? The protagonists?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Where did that happen, and how did they react to it?
With Andy, we watched it together, a rough cut. At some point, he came to Amsterdam.
Wow, okay.
And we sat in my apartment, said, okay, you ready? We're going to watch this, blah, blah, blah. It's just a rough cut, so don't take it. But he loved it. He was laughing, and then he was all emotional. And then when the film finished, said, I really love it, but do you think I'm pathetic? I'm this guy who always does what his father tells him to do. And I said, no, you're not. It's just the way you are. Don't. But he was really touched. And Cherry, I couldn't watch it with her, so she watched it in China.
Do you think it will ever get a chance to be screened in China?
The deal is not going to be broadcasted in China because I promised to the people who are involved. I don't want to show it in China broadcast wise, but
like
also
television or what?
TV.
Or like TV, yeah.
But also it's never going to be broadcasted because in China
Right.
the censorship
censorship.
is really strict. But I wanted to go through there are small LGBT festivals around China, and I really wanted to push it through that because that's where the audience and the community that can really benefit from the film is. So.
What was your biggest lesson you learned in this entire process? Did you or lessons or what challenges did you have to face? Like what?
Yeah.
Also for you as a director and as a filmmaker, what did you learn?
Well, this is my first feature film, very first. So I learned a lot. I can't even begin to say how many things I learned. I started, I was doing science before. I didn't study.
Really? Okay.
I didn't study cinema. So for
what
me
did you work?
I was doing cancer research.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
And then suddenly I changed. I thought I just want to make film and I'm gonna try and do it. So I really learned a lot, and but I also learned from the people. I learned a lot about Chinese culture, as well as filmmaking. Filmmaking was.
Do you want to continue?
Yeah, of course.
Doing films? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
What topics, or is it what are you interested in?
I have a few topics. I want to work more with China, but I also have a topic to shoot in Italy because I'm Italian and about mafia in Italy. It's a cliché.
But what is the situation for queer people in Italy on a political? I mean, I know so many.
You're asking me a painful question, because Italy,
so
unfortunately, is a horrible country for LGBT.
Riots.
Is really backwards, and the Catholic Church is a major problem. And this, I think today or yesterday, these very days, the government is trying to pass a law to allow gay marriages. And there is a big thing going on, and lots of people protest. And this family day when they go and say the family should be, a man and woman, and I really can't read the news when I see that, because I mean we are in Europe and we're supposed to be more advanced. But this thing, Italy is just. It's like
maybe you want to make another film about that too.
I know great directors who did, so I'm not gonna do it.
Okay.
I let them do it.
Okay. Good luck for the future and with your next
Thank
film
you.
projects in China. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks.
他们就进柜子了，所以他们会有比较大的压力，所以我也蛮担心他们，也怕他们走不出来，所以我是希望可以通过这个事情，就是请婚这个事情，能帮他们解决这些压力。
就是说，请问一下，你对行婚对象的一些要求是什么？
我觉得，就是其实主要是两个人有相近的价值观，可以说得来吧。就是有些问题有共同的看法。
We met and I realized the gay community was so much fun, much more fun than the rest. And so after a while that we met each other, we knew each other. People started asking me to take pictures with me, so to pretend that I was the girlfriend. They could show the picture at home to their parents.
Like gay men? Or
yeah,
like,
gay men.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, sure, why not? And after a few pictures, I realized, well, I'm the girlfriend of a lot of people in China. Maybe this is not. But then I thought that the story.
然后互相有一些眼缘，这样就 OK 了。
好，闺蜜。
对，有闺蜜的这种基础就很好，非常好。
好，行。
I would like to start with your relationship to China and how did it develop and how did you sort of like become familiar with this country and then the special community you were observing in a way.
Yep. Well, I was there just traveling for myself, no particular reason, and then I started hanging out with some gay friends that I. I'm Sophia Luvarà. I'm the director of The Chinese Closet, which is a documentary about the gay life in China.
就你了，就你了。好，15号，请问你为什么要结婚？
主要是父母的原因啦，因为我跟我父亲是坦白了这个事情，然后就是
It was just great, and it needed to be done. It was just was funny, but at the same time, it was really obviously tragic and
Yes.
sad. So it was both things, and that's how it started.
So you met these people in sort of like party life, or what? Where did you sort of like first get in contact with the gay community?
First time, yeah. So the first time was gay clubs and bars, and especially in advertising.
Okay.